Islam. And what is our question?
From a Moorish perspective, is it better to be loved or to be feared?
Interesting question. That concept comes from and became popularized by an Italian named Niccolo Machiavelli. In his book entitled The Prince, he posed that question, right? Is it better to be loved or be feared? And this is the book here, The Prince and Other Writings, Niccolo Machiavelli, all right? And he asked the question, he says, upon this, a question arises, whether it be better to be loved, whether it be better to be loved than feared, or feared than loved. It may be answered that one wished to be both, but because it is difficult to unite them in one person, it is much safer to be feared than loved. When of the two, either must be dispensed with. Because this is to be asserted in the general of men, that they are ungrateful, fickle, false, cowardly, covetous, and as long as you succeed, they are yours entirely. They will offer you their blood, property, life, and children. As it is said above, when the need is far distant, but when it approaches again, they turn against you. And that prince who, relying entirely on their promises, has neglected other precautions, is ruined, because their friendships that are obtained by payments, and not by greatness or nobility of mind, may indeed be earned, but they are not secured, and in time of need they cannot be relied upon. And men have less scruple in offending one who is beloved than one who is feared. For love is preserved by the link of obligation, which owing to the baseness of men is broken at every opportunity for their advantage. But fear preserves you by a dread of punishment, which never fails. Now, with this, we can clearly see that from a European psychology standpoint, them honoring the tradition of their forefathers, they state that it is better to be feared than to be loved. However, we Moorish American Muslims, under the laws and teachings and the holy instruction of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Prophet Noble Drew Ali instructs us in the Holy Quran, the Moorish Science Temple of America, in the chapter of Magistrate and Subject, when he says, the honor of a servant is his fidelity. His highest virtues are submission and obedience. Be patient, therefore, under the reproofs of thy master, and when he rebuketh thee, answer not again. The silence of thy resignation shall not be forgotten. Be studious of his interests, be diligent in his affairs, and faithful to the trust which he reposeth in thee. Thy time and thy labor belongeth unto him. Defraud him not thereof, for he payeth thee for them. And thou who art master, be just to thy servant, if thou expect from him fidelity, and be reasonable in thy commands, if thou expect ready obedience. The spirit of a man is in him. Severity and rigor may create fear, but can never command love. Mix kindness with reproof, and reason with authority, so shall thy admonitions take place in his heart, and his duty shall become his pleasure. He shall serve thee faithfully from the motive of gratitude, he shall obey thee cheerfully from the principle of love. And fail thou not in return to give his diligence and fidelity their proper reward. So as we can clearly see, this is a higher self perspective on fear versus love. Prophet, as he said, severity and rigor may command fear, but can never command love. However, when you read his whole body of work, because we don't believe in plucking verses, if you go in the chapter of religion, actually in the chapter of magistrate subject, where he says, in the punishment of offenders, he is strict and impartial. All right? So what happens is you demonstrate, of course you demonstrate the high aspects of love. You always do everything from the motive of love. But what happens when love is offended? When love, truth, peace, and freedom are violated, justice must then take its course. All right? And the interpretation of justice is found within the entire body of works of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So, as a suggestion, what I suggest is that you research the entire body of work of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali and see what he says about the dispensation or the dispensing of justice. But if we were to pluck the verse, it does say that it's better to be loved than to be feared, instead of feared than loved. With that, I'll say peace.